H. Porter. Some of you Papa or Pop, but we're all here for the same reason, same individual. So it means a lot to the family that you all came, and we know that unless you live down at the end of the street, which nobody does, that it's a significant commitment to come over here. All right, so thank you all for coming, and we will kick off the full deal here. Do we have the last shuttle inbound or here? Hey, Gary. Inbound,
I can
not
get
here.
up there, Tom, if you
All
want.
right, you're gonna have to come back up.
I got it. I can,
And
I can
dance,
tell.
because I'm thinking about what I'm gonna say in a few minutes.
No worries. I had to cut some stuff. I was told I only had 5 minutes when I do my own little talk. And so I had to cut a lot of stuff. All right, some of the trips I took with Bill Porter. You know, you knew you made the A list if you got invited to Baja, right? So we went down to Baja with Bill the first time, and we're driving down, and it's nighttime, and Bill says, yeah, we're going to find this little primitive campsite. This is in Mexico, right? Primitive campsites in Mexico. That's like primitive, right? There's no ranger. There's nobody there to take your money. You just leave it somewhere when you're done. I don't even remember where. So anyway, it's like we get there, and this is the first time I've ever camped with Bill, and I'm like, well, dude, where are the tents? Oh, no, we don't sleep in tents. We just sleep on the ground, and we're in the desert, right? I'm thinking rattlesnakes, scorpions. So I'm like, on the ground. My wife was the smart one. She slept in the truck. But of course, I slept on the ground. You know, us men, we can't let the other guys outdo us, right? So I'll sleep on the ground. So I'm half asleep. I have one eye wide open. All of a sudden, Bill Porter in the middle of the night jumps up screaming. He got bit. Where guys don't like to get bit by a millipede. And he's hopping around screaming. I'm like, oh my God, I hope this thing's not poisonous. If he dies out here, I don't even know where I am. I don't even know how do I get back to where I, you know. And so he goes to my wife, and she carries everything with her. She's like a pharmacist. She also has a traveling kitchen. So she pulled out the Benadryl, and Bill popped a couple Benadryls and went back to sleep. He didn't die. And anyway, that was my first memory from my first trip down to Baja with Bill. Okay, guys, the shuttle is not on military time, so we have to delay the start by 5 minutes. So why don't we take the time to be in the present and enjoy this beautiful setting that we're at? And by the way, you are allowed to end sentences with prepositions. I just heard this from Oxford, so don't judge my grammar, okay? But enjoy the people around you. We've got some very wonderful people here. If you were in Bill Porter's life, I think by definition you had to be a wonderful person, right? So, anybody have any jokes you want to tell them next time? Who am I? They hired me to be the MC at this party. I have no idea who you guys are. No, my job now is to introduce your first speaker. And it's Bill's son, Tom, and I want you to know, Tom, that Bill was very proud of you. He spoke so highly of you. I don't know if you know this, but Tom was in charge of CAL FIRE for quite a while, and he's a surfer, which I respect. Anyone that would get in that cold, shark-infested water in the wintertime, I respect the heck out of that. And you were a track man. I respect that. But he was very proud of you, Tom. And I've only known you, here a little bit there, and it's always been a pleasure being around you. So without any further ado, Tom Porter.
All right, this is Bill. You're taller than me. All right, I will be using my notes here in a second, but I wanted to start off with something that is important to me and this place, and also my dad. So, hold on. And I don't have the words. We did this morning. in the family burial plot, I'll call it. Oof, that's a scary thing to say. But we lit some sage and acknowledged the lands that we're on. These are traditional lands of the Kumeyaay. Most of us don't trace our lineage back to the Kumeyaay, but those of you who do, thank you. Thank you for having us on your land for the time that we've been here and the times to come. And we want to do that all together. So I am not Kumeyaay, but I am going to light some sage, which I collected from the plants up front on the driveway. And so for years I've been collecting there and then using the sage on occasions like this or other. But anyway, I'm going to do that.
You want me to block the wind for you?
Yeah, my
Which way's the wind
Work. All right. Actually, I'm going to go down here.
Okay.
I'm going to try light that. I'm going to light the match on the model of wing dance.
I may have these, I'll hold them for you in case you need more.
So we each have 5 minutes, but I'm going to take 40. So 45? I need a green one.
Better at putting them out.
That's my problem.
A burning of sage. There we go. It's something that we've done here, and the peoples before us did. I'm going to leave this up here to burn. Fire safe. We don't have to worry about it today, all right? We're good. So even if the wind blows, we'll be okay. All right. That being done, many of us gathered here, maybe the last time some of us saw each other 5 years ago. 5 years ago today, this afternoon, my dad's 80th birthday. We were right here, the same space, enjoying each other's company. He didn't feel very well that day. It was tough. But we were all together, and we had the chance to really connect. A lot of family that hadn't seen each other in a long time. It was a beautiful event, much like today. It was a beautiful day and nice. And something that it meant so much to him was that we as family, and you all are that, had a place that we could come to and be at together. A place where anything goes at times, and anything goes at times. Wing dance. Here she is, and here we are, yet again. Anyone ever hear the term linear time? Linear time. Okay. I always thought time was linear, but Pop got to a point where he wasn't good with linear time. Okay, it's fine. I'm just marking for all of our reference. Linear time from 5 years to now is 80th birthday to what would have been the 85th birthday of my dad. How about aliens?
Oh, yeah.
Aliens, Bigfoot, Sasquatch, Loch Ness Monster. All these things were things that I was very much infatuated with. I won't speak for Christian.
Yeah.
As a kid, but only because of my dad. He was the one who brought the love of those things to me and us. Bedtime stories. He told the best bedtime stories. And the best bedtime stories of the best were when we were camping. Out in the hills, the Sierras, Mexico, desert. And as a kid, those stories were always freaky. Freaky. He loved J.R.R. Tolkien. And his stories were twists on those stories. The rocks had eyes. It's dark. There are rocks over there. Do those have eyes? Anyway, so I think you've been probably around a campfire and heard some stories or some things that were a stretch that for the mind, but wanted to just recognize his imagination, his innovation. I mean, he could make something out of anything, as we all know, and make something work that didn't work in a whole different way than it was supposed to work. He was a kid before he had us as kids. We have Julie, and I think Julie might be the only one who knew him as a child. His cousin who's here. Hi, Julie. Sorry. I'm looking right over you. And as a child, and I knew this, but as a child, and Julie confirmed it this morning out of the blue, he loved to dig holes. He would dig holes with a shovel, a pick. He would do it by hand. He loved digging holes. And he was unabashed at acknowledging that as well. So he was a boy, he was a man, he was a dad. Gets harder as you go up the ladder. Grandfather, great grandfather. That's Naomi, who was just talking to him a minute ago, or maybe me, saying, "Get it on! You got to get done. Hungry." But also a coach, friend, an elder, and where would any one of us be if there wasn't a William H. Porter Jr.?
We wouldn't be here.
Thank you, Bill. Absolutely right. We would not be here today or any other day. You're right. Thank you. So he had a healthy respect for life, the natural environment, the weather. And I know the snow that came night before last was for him. He loved snow in March. Always, it's March, it's snowing. Anyway, he loved his tools, and if you're going to pack a car to go anywhere, he's going to be involved. Sorry, kids. I know that's me too. I got it from him. Yeah. Anyway, he was a self-proclaimed listener, although I know he was a talker as well. And there's so many things. I mean, there's a bazillion things that we could all talk about, and I'm hoping that you all take the chance to share with each other the memories that you have of your Bill, your grandpa, your father, friend. I did want to make two last references to things that will mean more to some than others, but coffee plus chemicals. Chemicals, I think I got off the mark. Coffee plus chemicals plus microwave till it's so hot that it's gonna burn the back of your throat for a month. That was how he liked his coffee.
And then you take it in the car.
And then take it in the car, yeah. And then there's one other story that you can find the details to later, but he did teach, and I think Kristen remembers this. If you don't, this is a reminder. Never put a boiled egg in the microwave to reheat it. Do not do that. If you've done it, you know. If you haven't, don't. All right. With that fun, and knowing that there are a lot of people to talk, and I've gone way over my time, Bill, but I'm taking family mulligan on this, and I don't play golf, so I don't really know what that means. But he is here in this urn. Bill Porter. Here, I'm going to pick it up because you can't see it in the back. I didn't say that. So, William H. Porter is here. What's left? But he is here with us today and will forever be here with us. And so, share your time together, enjoy the day, and Bill, I'm going to give it back to you. Thank you.
Thank you, Tom. Next, I'd like to call up Gary Gannett, one of Bill's close friends, and a big help to Bill in his later years as he needed more and more help getting into town and picking up supplies and so forth. So, Gary, come on up.
What's your name?
It's so good to see all of you, really. It's amazing. And I got to say, because of Bill Porter, I have so many friends here that without Bill, I wouldn't have known you. But I think that's wonderful. As I'm walking up, I think I've walked from this house to the Red House 1,000 times, I guess. And always enjoyed that walk. Always. Just really loved it. And I'm walking up and I'm thinking, there were people, including Deb and myself, who lived at this house because of necessity. Bill was amazing, whether it was divorce or you lose your home or money or whatever. And I was thinking, how many people, since I've known Bill, Steve Sick, Peter Ruiz was a teacher at Julian High. If I forget someone, let me know. David Moser, a student and runner with Bill. Then us, Deb and Gary, Joseph Villasenor, Michael Beck. Yeah.
Jim and Kathleen.
Well, I know. Jim and Kathleen. I mean, and every one of us developed a relationship with Bill that was family-like. It was beautiful, and it was wonderful, and I'll always have that. I loved living up there. I really did. Connor passed away at the end of 2019, and I started getting an urge to write, and I was over 65. I'd never written anything, but it never went away, so I wrote, and I'm still writing. But I'm just saying that because after Bill passed, I changed chapter 11 that was titled Baja, and it's now called My Dear Friend Bill. And I wrote a few things that I'll read from here. Like just 1.5 pages. I'm writing these pages. As I'm writing these pages, our close friend Bill Porter recently passed away peacefully. Throughout the prior pages, you have read the name Bill, who's beloved by many, including myself and our family. For over 30 years, we've been friends. Bill truly was a family member who helped raise our children and was a triune to Deb and me. Bill is missed and Bill is loved. We met in 1994, and because of our friendship, I became an avid kayaker. I'd just taken the special education position at Julian High. Bill was the cross-country and track coach who attended a staff meeting where we heard my passionate talk about helping students with individualized education plans. Bill decided we should meet. He was just getting into ocean kayaking and looking for fellow ocean lovers. Bill was also dyslexic. He found out its name in his 30s at school. Bill was treated as a slow learner and given extra help outside his regular classroom. Bill is an artist, athlete, teacher, coach, builder, and explorer. Bill is very creative, a lifelong learner and avid reader. Bill grew up thinking he was dumb. The life Bill has qualifies as genius. And I want you to know that because Bill struggled with that a little bit, with the idea that he wasn't smart. And anyone who spent some time with Bill started going, oh my God, this guy knows so many things and he can do so many things. And the ability for a dyslexic person like that to become a reader at that age in his 30s was just amazing. So I'm just gonna read something that showed up to me today. I don't have this thing to go up. Can you guys hear me after all this
Paul's
stuff?
going to help you over here.
Yeah, I only have one more thing to say. So, main thing is, I looked up, it is St. Patrick's Day if you noticed, and I am an Irishman. And Bill, I always said, Bill, what, your birthday's on St. Patrick's Day? You don't have any Irish in you, but he sort of did. So, but I saw this Irish toast, so I'm going to say it, then I'm going to leave, and I want to thank everyone for being here. I know it means a lot to Bill and his family, and don't you love it? This land, this house is a beautiful place that Bill shared for so many years. Okay, an Irish toast. There are good ships and wood ships, ships that sail the sea, but the best ships are friendships, and may they always be. Bill is my friend, and I miss him.
Thank you, Gary. By the way, Gary, Bill's mother called him Pat, so just so you know. Next up, we have Kathleen Beck, who was a very good friend to Bill, and she was one of the many who lived here for a period of time. So Kathleen, come on up.
All these tall people. I'm only 5'4". My name's Kathleen Beck, and those of you that don't know me, I lived up there in that beautiful space, the most beautiful room on the planet as far as I'm concerned. I had the honor of living there for 4 years. Jim and I lived up there as a result of the fact that at the time we didn't have any place to stay, and Bill's like, well, come live with me. And Jim and I were so blessed by Bill and his generosity. So that's who I am. I met Bill in 2012. I was doing a skyscope project up on the mountain, and somebody said, you have to meet Bill Porter. And when I met him, it was instantaneous, like I'm sure all of you experienced. As soon as you met Bill, you knew him, because his element of being here now was so present all the time in everything that he did. So I'm just going to read you out of my journal because I didn't think I could remember everything that I wanted to say, and I'm going to be short. When Bill died, I was in London, and I knew he was going to pass, so I had come to see him right before he died, and it was such a great moment. I was there with Livia, my granddaughter, and Debbie. And I just remember Bill, his eyes popped open. He'd been taking a nap. And he just proceeded to tell me about this vision, about how he was seeing himself in two places at the same time. And I remember saying, Bill, that's the way it's supposed to be because we're in transition. And he was very, very present even as he was leaving. He died September 27th at sundown. A better man I have not met. Beautiful, humble soul, full of grace and wisdom, as he was very fond of saying. He was such a binder, is such a binder right now of all humankind, forever bringing us together again and again and again. Life drawing, singing bowl, healing ceremonies, folk dancing, movie nights, meditation, carnitas nights, solar eclipses, storytelling, film festivals, music reviews, and I know that all of you here attended at least one of those happenings. Not to mention Bill's famous Death Cafe, where he met with others to discuss comes what may. We all pass, and he wanted to be prepared, as always. There were the trips to Baja. There was the whale-watching adventures in San Ignacio, countless adventures, and Bill was always prepared, and he even loved the preparing. I join him with this love of preparing for a storm, a dinner party, a kayak adventure, fire preparedness. Unbelievable how he prepared for a fire. Thank you to him for that. A more generous soul may be hard to find. All he did with others, and claimed that all of his friends, well, he only associated with the very, very best. Never one to spare himself of compliments. I was constantly humbled by things he would say. He loved all of us. And after a gathering with all of you, he was always likely to say, well, that was the best conversation. That was the best dinner. That was the best trip ever. Generous soul, you taught us well. You taught us by example. Thank you for Bill.
Next up, we have Michael Beck, who I believe also lived here, if I heard this correctly, and helped to build this house.
Yeah, that certainly is a theme. I don't think there's anything at this place that wasn't built by Bill or one of his friends. I'd say 98% of this place, including a lot of the landscaping. Vicente's not here, I assume, but he should and would be if there was any way to pull that off. He did all this stonework here. So one of the themes that is going to continue to be repeated, I assume, is how Bill was such a, and this place, reflection of Bill, was such a magnet for friends. It's kind of the center of gravity for so many people. And on the way up this morning, I was thinking about a particular era, and you never recognize a golden period, a golden era, until you're past it, and then you go, wait a minute, that was quite a special time. And there was a 3-4 year period here where we were really housebreaking the house. I mean, we had parties and movies and dancing. Can you imagine? Let's get together and dance. And very special place. A lot of the people that were part of that are here, of course. And some of the people that were part of that are not here. Christine Kerbstadt, Andy, and probably others that I can't think about. So we're all on the train, and Bill certainly embraced that. He really did. He lived an examined life, really, really special. I put a couple notes down because I wanted to make sure I didn't forget any particular topic. Yeah, one thing I wanted to mention was when Bill's dad, who had dementia or Alzheimer's or something, there was a decision like Mr. Porter, I always called him Mr. Porter, sir. And he, for some reason, responded to that, Mr. Porter, sir. And he'd interact with me. And so that Bill had this choice about, should we find a place to have my dad go to? And he said, no, to hell with that. He'll come here. So he lived the rest of his life out here while we were doing construction. It was a wild time. Mr. Porter, you had to keep an eye on him, but he was special. And I believe he died down in the Red House. Faye was singing Amazing Grace. It was heavy and real and right. It had that feeling of right about it. So I wanted to acknowledge that. And also on that topic, he was so proud of the kids, Tom and Kristen. That was clearly, his kids were always close in his mind and his heart. So it randomly come up thinking about the kids all the time. And I saw Daniel this morning, and he said, so many people have lived here. So why don't you ask people to raise their hand if they ever lived in this house or the Red House? So I'm doing that. If you ever were here in this house, look at how many people. There's a dozen people that lived in Bill's house or otherwise. As a matter of fact, one of my dogs is buried down below, Queen Jane. And I think her headstone is still there, amazingly. So to me, there are archetypes. I think that is generally seems to be a condition of humanity, that there are certain archetypes. And Bill was certainly, the archetype that Bill inhabited, lived, was as a friend, just automatic, spontaneous. Just the song that he sung was friendship, and it's a rare quality. But looking back on his life, all the people who lived here, everybody knows that is probably a hallmark of your identification with Bill, and very special. So I didn't have any. I have plenty of stories. And by the way, the digging thing, I'd forgotten about that. I didn't know Gary liked to dig holes. I'd never met anybody in my life who liked to dig holes. And I've done many, many projects with Bill, and that's true. He liked to dig holes, as odd as that can be. So it was special and I thought unique to Bill. Just thought of someone else who was in the golden era who used to come to some of these parties that we had up here, Dorsa, who most people here know, and a unique personality and take no prisoner personality, and was fit right in. We're having a wild party, and there's Dorsa doing her Dorsa thing. So I don't have any fun. I probably have some funny stories if I search for them, but the story that you've got to hear before you leave today is the cheesecake story, and I'm not going to tell it. Kristen has to tell it.
I forgot. I didn't put that in.
And this was, a couple days before Bill died. This was a couple days before Bill died, and he was in the room, and we were visiting and so on. And so I'll let Kristen tell the story, but I just thought, God, that is so Bill. So Bill. So anyway, good to see everybody. Good to be here on Bill's Day. And everybody's going to think of Bill on St. Patrick's Day for the rest of your life, probably.
This is unusual. I get to introduce myself. Bill Porter was my friend. He was my mentor, and he was the big brother I never had because I was the oldest in my family, and he was 20 years older than me. Life happens sometimes in a very strange way. I got this phone call when I was teaching at Mountain Empire High School by this guy I never knew called Bill Porter. Hey, I hear you know how to run. You want to get the Mountain Empire track and cross country team going again and join the Citrus League? Bring Mountain Empire back to the Citrus League? And I thought about it for a while, and sure, why not? And that changed my life. Just that one phone call changed my whole life. Because in Bill teaching me, I knew how to run, but as any of us who have run know, that doesn't mean you know how to coach. Those are two completely different things. And Bill taught me how to coach, which I did not know how to do. And that took a long time. And we would go to coaching clinics together. I'd come up to the house and we'd leave from here and we'd go to Mount Sac. For you runners, you know where that is. It's in Walnut, California, kind of East LA, near Riverside area. And we got to meet some of the giants like Joe Vigil, the coach of the U.S. Olympic distance team, and Mickey Hall, who coached Ryan Hall, his son, and many, many others like that. And you know, when you're a runner, it means something to you and a coach to meet these guys, these giants of your field. And we had so much fun doing it. And all that was made possible by Bill. And the other thing that was peculiar was that, you know, his school and my school, we were big rivals. I mean, for a long time, our two schools were always the ones that won the championship until some upstarts that are in this room now finally decided to get a little arrogant and start competing with us. But that's another story. And they know who they are. But for the most part, it was Mountain Empire Julian battling it out, and we had some epic finishes. And, you know, we became the closest friends in spite of the fact that our teams were duking it out on the field every day. And I'm really proud of the fact that kids on my team would date kids on his team, and they were good friends. I don't know what they were doing, but they were going out as friends, and they were dating, and they always were nice to each other. We came up here and had running camps with the Julian team and Bahome Park team. You know, if you play football, as I did, you hate your opponent. You don't hate your opponent in track and field and in cross country. Bill, you know, there's a man here who competed in the Olympics and faster, higher, stronger, I believe. Is that it? In the Olympics, there's nothing about quashing your opponent. You want to be faster. Your opponent makes you faster. Your opponent makes you jump higher. Your opponent makes you throw farther. We understand in the sports of track and cross country that our opponents make us better. We're not trying to kill them like you do in certain other sports like that I did play. Some of my best friends are here. They're coaches. The guys that, you know, when I need something, times are tough, they're there for me. They are my fellow coaches. Guys that I coached against. That didn't matter. I told the story while I was killing time at the beginning that Bill's the one that encouraged me to become a runner. And it was some of the most wonderful time in my life was when I got to compete as a runner in my 40s. It was so much fun. And I thank Bill for that because I was running, but I didn't have any idea that I should compete until he told me I should. And I can't even believe the timing of this because I was just about to bring up the man who I just saw appear. So another thing that Bill did was he introduced me to what I would call great people. And as a result of Bill, I got to meet a man named Victor Villaseñor. And I got to read his books. Some of the books, such as Reign of Gold and Beyond Reign of Gold and Macho. Most of my students are Latino. I grew up in Canada. I never met a Latino until I was in my 20s, and yet I was teaching mostly Latinos. And in reading Victor's books, I grew to understand their culture, and I actually knew something about the kids that I was teaching, which made me a better teacher. And then I read Lion Eyes, which jump-started me much further into my spiritual path. I've been on a spiritual path for many years, and that book took me to a whole new level, the understanding of that book, Lion Eyes. So It's because of Bill Porter that I met Victor Villasenor, and Victor has made me a much better person, a better teacher, and a more spiritual person. So thank you, Victor. And thank you, Bill, for introducing me to him. The last person that I would like to talk about, I'll bring him up in a minute. So when I was a young boy in Canada, I used to do a lot of running. I ran to school. I ran everywhere. Why not? It's twice as fast as walking, if you're any good at it. And I was able to beat much older boys than myself, and I dreamt of one day, running in the Olympics. Well, my stars didn't align like that. Yeah, but running has been one of the most important things in my life. But thanks to Bill Porter, I got to meet an Olympic champion. I got to meet a man who did win the gold medal in the Olympics. And he invited me into his home, and he let me hold his gold medal and his world record for 6 miles. And somehow that made it better that I never got to do that myself, but I got to be with a man who did. And he told me about it, and he let me see and hold these things that he earned. That was made possible by Bill Porter. And the man that I'm about to introduce you to, by the way, if you want to know, it was 1964 in Tokyo, the 10,000 meters. He wasn't supposed to do anything. No one considered him a favorite. He was running against world record holders, and I think he was ranked third on the U.S. Olympic team. In their minds, there were only 3 guys on that team. Now, he knew he wasn't third, but I think a lot of people thought he was. And anyway, he won that gold medal against these Olympic and world record holders. Okay? So anyway, that was a dream come true for me, Billy. And by the way, Billy met Bill Porter on the United States Marine Corps track team. That's where they met. Billy roomed with Bill on the road sometimes, is my understanding. God, I hope he didn't snore like he did when he was older. You couldn't have gotten any sleep. I had to sleep outside one time on that trip to Lake Powell. I pulled out a lawn chair, laid it out on the deck, and slept outside to get away from it. So, any further ado, I would like to introduce a great man. He won't say that about himself, but I will. He is a great man. He has done something that many of us have dreamt of. For him, he made his dream a reality, and that's Billy Mills.
Okay, my running career did not cause me to have 2 new hips, so I'm still a little wobbly. Trying to stay with my wife in downhill skiing did that. When I met Bill Porter, we were both young Marines, and I sensed something in him immediately that I never sensed in many people in my life. He was quiet. He was humble. I sensed a very deep spirituality. And I've experienced the spirituality here. I sensed he was a man who was in balance, in harmony with Mother Nature. And I was very touched when he lit the sage. And quietly, I blessed myself with it. That's Bill Porter. I would always say Bill Porter, and my wife finally said, "Do you know his first name?" I said, "Yes, Bill Porter." She said, "No, that's his first name. What's his last name?" "Bill Porter." So I was very touched when you spoke of Bill Porter. Bill was one of the kindest, and to me, a very intellectual person. We have a grandson who's high-functioning autism, and he's brilliant. He found the passion in life that allowed that brilliance to surface. And I identified our grandson who in the fourth grade did not know how to read. By the time he was in the 6th grade, he was reading very well. By the time he was an 8th grader, he tested postgraduate vocabulary level. My grandson reminds me of your father. He was a very intellectual person to me. So I'll make my words very, very, very short by saying 2 short stories. Bill Porter reminded me of a very quality, world-class Native American athlete that I read about years ago. And I'll say it as it relates to Bill Porter. To watch Bill Porter as an athlete, to watch him perform, to compete, you had to admire it. You admired him as an athlete. And in his very quiet way, I identified myself with Bill Porter. To compete against him, you learned from him. To compete against him, you had to be ready for your best performance. And to love, to get to know Bill Porter, is simply to love him. I've loved my wife, I've loved Bill Porter since we were young Marines. So I'm going to close my words with, as a Marine. Bill was a brother Marine. So, swifter, higher, stronger, with Godspeed, Bill Porter, with Godspeed, and Semper Fi to my Marine brother. I feel in harmony today. I feel in balance today. And a lot of that is because of Bill Porter. I've tried to live a spiritual life. My dad told me when my mom died and I was 8 years old, he said, you have broken wings, son. It takes a dream to heal broken wings. But he told me to find my dream, you had to have spirituality. You had to be in balance. So I close by simply saying, I identified with your father, because I like to think I was in balance with and in harmony with Mother Nature and the Creator. We just lost a granddaughter not long ago. And I listened to the song, Dancing in the Sky. And if you've not listened to it, it's powerful. Bill Porter's with us today, but he's also maybe not dancing in the sky, but he's definitely camping in the sky. So, thank you.
I wouldn't be surprised if he's running in the sky too, Billy.
You never know that there's downhill skiing with your wife. New hips, new knees.
Another cross-country and track coach, helping the cross-country and track coach. That's the way it is. You know, Billy, your humility never ceases to amaze me. You know, you could have your head up in the clouds as a gold medalist in the Olympics, as many do. But no, I'm in awe of it. Thank you so much. Next up, we have a young man. We've talked about the fact that Bill Porter was a coach. He coached many great athletes. I know this because I had to compete against him. Scott Nuth was among the best. And I believe also Deanna Nuth is going to speak. So at this time, I'd like to have them come up.
Deanna Wolf.
Is it just you? Just Scott. I wish you run a little slower back in your day, young man.
Thank you, Bill. I didn't imagine before I got the call to speak that I would have to come on after an Olympic champion. When I got the call, I was very excited to speak about Bill, but walking up here, my heart's been racing like I'm walking up to the start line of a race. My name is Scott Neth, and it was my honor and privilege to run for Coach Porter from the fall of 1999 through the spring of 2003. In that time, Bill quickly became one of the most significant and important people I've ever met, and I'm grateful to say that we remained friends right through the end of his life. For my earliest days meeting Bill, I felt an almost inescapable pull to join the cross-country team. I was new to Julian, and I didn't have any real friends, but Bill and his team members made it readily apparent how much they'd like me to join, and I quickly discovered how powerful the team dynamic that Bill created could be for a shy, scared young man like me who just wanted a place to belong and something important to be a part of. I fancied myself a highly talented runner, but got knocked down quite a few pegs in my first race. It was a lot harder to do a 5K at Coach LeBlanc's home course above Lake Morena than it was to run a PE mile back in junior high. Coach Porter and his athletes remained encouraging though, reminding me of the important contributions I was making to the team each week. And by season's end, there was nobody else I'd rather spend time with than my teammates and coach. The postseason awards, held right here in this beautiful home, were almost sad, as they meant I'd have to go without my coach and my team for a while. Over the next 3 school years, Coach Porter helped me immensely. He told me how he looked at each incoming class of freshmen, and if it held someone whose talent he was especially interested in developing, he would commit to seeing that person through their high school career. I was honored when Bill told me that I was one of those kids, and that he could see me up there amongst other great runners from past teams, people like Freddie Artho, Teresa Newman, Todd Lewis, and Ariel Damron. He gave incredibly of himself to help me develop from an unsharpened talent into a focused and enthusiastic racer, to achieve more than I ever dreamed possible. Race after race, I would hear his thunderous voice across the course. And good race or bad, his words were unwaveringly positive, always urging me forward. His belief in me helped to give me confidence and belief in myself, but more importantly, he gave me a sense of purpose and a place to belong. As a good student who just didn't like school, running was what kept me in the classroom, and he shared with me that we had this in common. I appreciated how much encouragement he gave me, but I also saw that I wasn't unique in that regard. I watched him work with runners who started out with little belief in their ability to contribute, or who struggled with injuries, or who came from homes that left them with the poorest levels of self-worth, or who simply didn't know if they even wanted to run. Bill met each of them where they were and transformed them into fiery competitors, ones who became indispensable teammates, and who overcame their various setbacks to find success, both as athletes and, more importantly, as team members. The teams that Bill built were more like small communities, ones you couldn't wait to be involved with, and which made you excited to give your very best for yourself, for your team, and for Coach. Everyone was smiling almost constantly. You just couldn't help it when you were on one of Bill's teams, especially with his wonderful sense of humor and boundless enthusiasm, and I was excited to go to practice every single day. In the 4 years I spent on Bill's teams, he made possible the renovation of our high school track, and then revived the long-dormant track and field program, giving many of us double the opportunity to be guided by his considerable talents. When 2 seasons still weren't enough, Bill devised summer training for us, took us on winter runs between seasons, and even took us to see high-level meets and to listen to incredibly decorated athletes, like his friend and Olympic gold medalist Billy Mills, all in an effort to help us keep our enthusiasm high and to elevate what we dreamed was possible for ourselves. He attended countless seminars so that the knowledge he gave us was as current and complete as possible, and helped his athletes to get to work with experts so that they could learn and develop beyond his own expertise. His positivity was contagious, and I had teammates who confided in me that they weren't even interested in running, but still chose to be on Bill's teams because he would be their coach. Bill was friends with almost all of our rival coaches too, so by season's end, many of us were cheering on and befriending our competitors as well, and I count several of the people I met through cross country and track as close friends to this day. I am eternally grateful for the time I was able to spend on Coach Porter's teams. I count those experiences as some of the happiest and most memorable of my life. Moreover, Bill remained a fixture in my life long after the time that he and I spent as coach and athlete. He was the first to sponsor my brother and I when we went auto racing. He volunteered as part of our pit crew, brought friends and family to my work to see the creations that I get to be a part of. He took me on one of his legendary Baja kayaking trips. He went clear to Monterey to cheer me on in my biggest ever Spartan obstacle course race, and near the end of our time together, talked life philosophy more deeply and meaningfully than I have with anyone else. Bill was a true Renaissance man, and he left an indelible legacy upon the lives of everyone who was lucky enough to call him coach. His legacy lives on in each of us who are here today, as well as so many more people out there, and it's on each of us to pay it forward, the generosity that he showed us. Everyone should be so lucky to have a friend like Bill, and while I'm sad that I can't drive over here tomorrow to see him in person, when I think of the countless places he took us to run, the places I still go to this day, I know exactly where to go to find him. Thank you, Bill, for giving me running. It's become my life's true passion. Thank you for everything you did, for being my mentor, and most importantly, my friend. I don't know who I'd be without you. Thank you.
Not much to add to that. I will say this, as Scott mentioned, he was on a rival team. I used to host a track meet at Mountain Empire High School every year as a fundraiser because unlike football, the school doesn't give you money when you run cross-country track programs. You got to go find it yourself. And Scott, from the Julian team, would come to my meet and work it wherever I wanted him to be, at this finish line or moving hurdles or whatever. What does that tell you, right? So, next up, I have Bill's grandsons, Moshe and Isaiah.
I'm coming up.
Deanna.
Okay.
Deanna.
Okay, Deanna, you are coming up.
Yeah.
Okay. All right. Change. Deanna's coming up. Got it?
All right, how are we doing? We good?
Yeah.
All right. Good afternoon. I'm Deanna Wolf. I also had the privilege of knowing Bill Porter as one of his athletes on the cross country team. I ran with Bill from 2005 to 2008 and just also continued cultivated a wonderful relationship and friendship into adulthood. I can say he coached me both physically and continuing to run well after high school into college and into adulthood, as well as just a life mentor and friend. So I have a few words to say, and I think you will not be surprised by the overlap and theme of what Scott just shared. Our experiences as members of Coach Porter's team really run through a theme of who he was as a person and as a coach. Track and field was handily the most popular spring sport at Julian High School. Cross country, the fall sport, had less participation, but every year it gained a few holdover team members from the previous track season. Why? You could say it was because Julian kids love to run in all kinds of weather, up and down hills, and always with a constant headwind on the track. Yes, we did learn to appreciate these things, but Julian kids really ran because of their love of one man, Coach Porter. It was not uncommon to hear phrases like, "I'm thinking of joining the team. I heard the coach was really cool." Or, "You should run cross country. We have so much fun." I was fortunate enough to have ran on both the track and the cross country teams under Coach's tenure, and I could speak of 1,000,001 accolades referencing who he was as a motivator, a mentor, and an entertainer. Yet I believe the best example for who Coach was is in the community that he created among the team. It was 3 p.m., and once you had changed into running shoes and workout clothes, You could shed the layers of yourself you'd put on during the school day. Popular, unpopular, nerd, jock. The track, the field, and the trails were places to belong, no matter who you were. And it wasn't a coincidence that Coach Porter created this environment, something I now look back on as a microcosm of heaven on earth. True community, real belonging. And what united all of us is respect for a man who practiced what he preached. Someone who was kind, generous, goofy, open, and inviting, worked hard, and played hard. He taught us, showed us really, how to be a team, a family, and a community. I remember what it felt like to blast our burned CDs with the windows of the school minivan rolled down, while Coach bumped his head to the music that he didn't really know the words to, and only occasionally asking to listen to his 40s and 50s hits. I remember driving to new parts of Cuyamaca State Park to run repeats, and how Bill would go up earlier in the day to mark our course, and he knew exactly where to tell us to stand so that we could cheer on our teammates. I remember Thursday evening spaghetti dinners before races on Fridays, hosted by different team members' families, all organized by Coach. I remember trips to the mall for dinner in the food court and a movie after our meets in San Diego, because it was as good as any a reason to celebrate, no matter how you placed. I remember late summer runs on the sand in La Jolla shores, followed by ventures out on Coach's kayaks. Because when you have a passion for something, you share it. I remember driving around Kentwood with Coach after dark to make sure that every last teammate who didn't have a ride was safely home before he called it a night. I remember enjoying Chinese buffet for the first time in Fresno for the state cross-country championships. This is a tradition that Bill was thrilled to share and pass on. And then, on a late spring evening in May, during the last home meet of the track season my senior year, I can still feel my feet landing in the wet grass on the field, as members of our team, from freshmen to seniors, turned cartwheels in our uniforms as we cheered on the final relay event of the meet. I didn't want that moment in time to end. I knew what we had was something special. This team, this family, this community existed because of Coach Porter. He taught us what we could be and how we should be with one another. As we went our separate ways, each person who ran, threw, or jumped with Coach as a mentor and a friend had each of these lessons instilled in us. This is how we needed to show up to the world beyond the small town of Julian. And as I look around, many of us have done so. We've created this type of community in our universities, in our jobs, among our friends and our peer groups, and now in families of our own. May we continue to open our hearts, our minds, and our homes as we honor Bill's legacy as a coach, a mentor, a friend, a model of community and belonging. I'm so glad I was part of this team.
I'm starting to gain a deeper understanding of why they were so darn tough to beat. I had no idea. I knew they could run, but they can clearly do more than that. Next up are Bill's two grandsons, Moshe and Isaiah. Hello.
I have some notes here. it's part of this. Yeah. So I'm Moshe Porter, and this is Isaiah Porter. We're Bill's grandsons. The stories I'm going to tell are really similar to the stories that we've heard already. Besides the track, I didn't run track. To my dad and Kristen, he was Pop, but to Isaiah and I, he was Papa. I have many memories of Papa, but two major ones that stick out that I'd like to share. The first one is from when Isaiah and I were fairly little, and we all took a family camping trip to Baja. We only did one because I think it scared the crap out of my mom. It was incredible though. We were young. I still remember some of the look, or how some of those beaches looked, the little coves that we visited to and camped and cooked and fished. And from what I understand, Papa took a lot of people on a similar trip to the one we went on. He was so in tune with the maps and the landscape down there. I remember seeing him, again, I was really young, so I don't remember much, but I remember seeing him reclining in his chair after making the clam bake and sashimi dinner, and looking just so content. His love of Baja and our love for that trip would keep us talking about making a return journey till the weeks before he passed. My second major memory of Papa is the house and this place. The construction of this house has been a legend told in the family my whole life. Hearing from Papa all the details that went into making this place. Could sit and listen for hours about all the friends who helped him build this and that. The stone walls, the roof, everything. From what I've heard and seen for myself, a project like this, a project with incredible detail and scope, wouldn't have fazed him. He would have been excited to just dive right into it. I had the privilege of staying up here with Papa for a few days a week, shortly after I graduated high school, and he had arranged a little job with James Hubble for me. It was very important for him that if I were to study architecture in college, that I should know what good architecture is before I start. That summer, he took me around to see many projects around Julian that he and his friends had built. I got to see Art's timber barn, James's whole compound, the work at the library and Camp Stevens. He took me to meet Ken Kellogg at a site in the trees not far from here. In the evenings, we would eat Caesar salad and watch The Daily Show and Alien documentaries. Throughout the years since then, he would continue to check in and make sure the projects that I'm working on as an architect were sufficiently unique. Staying with Papa, I was also introduced to his many friends who he treated as his family. He was always meeting someone for lunch or to help with a project or just to hang out and have a chat. After my stay with Papa, we would mostly just visit for a few days at a time, but continued to meet his ever-growing list of friends. Among others, we got to meet Jim and Kathleen, who I feel are family. Usually, if we were lucky, there would be a party while we were up here. I've been to quite a few parties up here. Papa definitely knew how to throw a party. It's a little weird not to have him here with us, but the spirit of him is with us. And as I spend the day here, it feels like he could be inside. The last thing I want to share is that last couple times I spoke with Papa, he mentioned that he had a dream that he was the first to meet our baby Naomi. He never met Naomi in person, but I believe they exchanged some important information before she entered and he exited. I'm honored to be his grandson, and I'll make sure that Naomi knows about how Papa was so special to us and how special his life was. I don't have much prepared. Been sitting over there and just like bawling every time the wind blows. I don't cry a lot, but today's been crazy. I don't know. I didn't get, that sort of in-person, the same experience Mo had, where he would come up here and spend all that time with Papa. But I spent a good amount of Papa in my own head, and I think we did that simultaneously. We're both craftspeople. I'm a potter. I definitely wouldn't be doing that if it weren't for Papa, and I think about him all the time while I'm doing that. I think he taught me how to a lot of things, but probably the most important thing is just how to analyze an object for its value. I'm not saying like financial value, but looking at it as an object that somebody else made, and all the little things that prove that it was made by somebody, and how that connects us to the maker. And I don't know, back to the house, and so many objects around the house and around the town we grew up in La Jolla. There's just so many things that he made that still exist and will exist for potentially thousands of years. Is really beautiful. And one of definitely the most important thing I've ever made is I have the honor of making Papa's urn here. You're clapping for him, I hope. But we had a pot very similar that Papa had made that was in our house growing up and had a very similar texture to this one, that I always loved to touch and rub my hands across. And anyway, it looks kind of like it was carefully made. And I asked him about it one day when we were up here, because we were always chatting about pottery. But he said he just whacked it a bunch of times with a ruler. So that's what I did. And I think it turned out pretty good. And I hope he likes it. I'm happy to talk about that more if anyone else wants to know, but I'm not going to bore everyone with it. But that's that. Thanks.
Thank you, guys. It's very moving. Next up, we have, certainly last, almost, but not least, is Bill's daughter, Kristen. And I just wanted to let you know, those of you who haven't been around much lately, that she took really good care of Bill at the end. When Bill was losing his mobility and he needed more help, she was like a skilled nurse 24/7, and he could not have asked for someone better to be there for him at the very end when he needed someone to be there. And what's really ironic is that Not too long before Bill passed away, she'd gone on a hike and this dog found her. And she brought the dog home, and that dog was just loving on Bill all the time until Bill passed away. And I sometimes wonder if that dog wasn't sent to make sure Bill had a friend until the end to see him off, in addition to his family. So without further ado, Kristen Porter.
Hi, everybody. Can you hear me? No. Hello. I'm only 5'2".
5'1".
First, I just want to thank everybody for coming to celebrate our pop. And thank you to all of the people who have just enjoyed this house and enjoyed pop and just helped with this celebration and making it happen today. And family and friends who've driven from so far, thank you. And I want to make a special thank to my husband, Mark, who just helped keep me grounded over the last several months and before Pop died. I'm grateful for all of your love. I'm going to start by saying a poem that I received just about a week ago from Nancy Klein, who was an old-time friend, longtime friend of Pop's. And it just hit my heart, so I wanted to share it. The Shifting Sun. When your father dies, say the Irish, you lose your umbrella against bad weather. May his sunshine be your light, say the Armenians. When your father dies, say the Welsh, you sink a foot deeper into the earth. May you inherit his light, say the Armenians. When your father dies, say the Canadians, you run out of excuses. May you inherit his son, say the Armenians. When your father dies, say the French, you become your own father. May you stand in his light, say the Armenians. When your father dies, say the Indians, he comes back as thunder. May you inherit his light, say the Armenians. When your father dies, say the Russians, he takes your childhood with him. May you inherit his light, say the Armenians. When your father dies, say the English, you join his club you vowed you wouldn't. May you inherit his son, say the Armenians. When your father dies, say the Armenians, your son shifts forever, and you walk in his light. Hey, Pop. I know you're here on the stage with me today, Pop, where we sat many times in the morning drinking coffee together, right there, scalding hot, warmed up in the microwave about 10 times. From your favorite little piece of the universe. Sometimes talking, sometimes just sitting quietly. Now, you and I are looking out on all the people who loved you. You are loving this. You are so happy and amazed that so many people are here to remember and share stories with you. You are a big lover of life and of people, so this does not amaze me. All the stories will make me miss you. We always want more time. "53 years, 9 months, and 1 day. Is how long I got to be your daughter and have you as my pop. That seems like a long time, but it still somehow is not long enough. I still want to walk into your living room and see you sitting in your chair. I want to sit with you and watch the weather come in while a fire crackles in the fireplace. I want to go kayaking with you in Baja or houseboating in Lake Powell. I want your booming laugh to make me jump out of my skin. I want to see the smile on your face when there's lightning and thunder in the sky and the rain pouring down. I even want to help you balance your checkbook. I want to hear your newest silly word. I want to belly laugh with you again, like when the seat of your chair broke and your butt fell to the ground and you looked like an elf. I want to know that you're in the world loving me no matter what. I know that I'm the lucky one to have these stories and these memories. I am lucky because I was your daughter. So I will choose to let the time that we had together be enough. I will always miss you, but I know your love was big enough to reach beyond the time that we had together. I am grateful to be a part of your story. I carry your story of adventure and love with me wherever I go. We all do. I added my own verse to the end of Nancy's poem. When you died, Pop, your family inherited your story, your love of adventure and big love. I will carry your story. I will walk with your light. And I'll close with a St. Patrick's Day poem about fathers. It's called An Irish Goodbye. The jokes, Pa, the blarney and the bluster have fallen silent at last. No more will I hear your laughter ring out like the peal of church bells. Pulling me back from my dreams. Gentle hands that held me so, clapped me on the back so many times. Now be still at last, wise hazel eyes that saw straight through me. Now see what lies beyond. Happy birthday, Pop. I will always love you. I will always be grateful that I was your daughter and that I was loved by you. Didn't prepare it, but I feel like there's a need to tell that story, Michael. So I'll try to do it justice. Okay, so the last days with Pop were challenging, but they were also beautiful and comical. And this was definitely one of the funniest times. It was probably in the last week that Pop died. Maybe the last 2 weeks. We had the last party here at the house on September 8th. And probably most of you know that Pop loved cheesecake. And my grandma made the best cheesecake ever. I agree. It's the best cheesecake ever. It's a 2-layer cheesecake. And Pop would he would talk about it, and he loved to make that cheesecake for his family and for his friends. And so we had made a cheesecake for that party. Actually, he made 2 because he always wanted to make sure there was enough. And so we had made 2 cheesecakes for that party. We made them together, and then he got to the point where he could, he really was unstable on his feet, and we didn't want him to fall. So he would get into but he wasn't in a hospital bed, and he was in his room, and it's probably 2:00 in the morning, and he was agitated. I went in, I knew he was agitated, and I went in there, and I said, "Hey, Pop, you know, we did some of the calming things. We might have, played some meditation music and did some of the things that helped to calm him down." And then he said, "I'm hungry." And I said, "Okay." And I said, "Hold on, I'm going to call the hospice nurse." And I just want to say, Sandy, the hospice nurse that helped the most, she's here today, and thank you. We called the hospice nurse, and they were telling me what I could do to, help calm him down and what I needed to do. And so in the house, you all know the house, he was in his bedroom down below, and I had gone I was on the phone, and I was out where all the drugs were in the kitchen, and I was going through stuff, and I told Pop, "You need to stay in bed. Stay in bed, don't go anywhere, I'll be right back." And I was on the phone with the hospice nurse, and I was walking down the hallway to go ask Pop a question, and here he comes in his underwear. And I'm like, "Whoa, Pop, where are you going?" And he said, "Cheesecake." And I said, "Whoa, okay." I said, "You want some cheesecake?" And I'm like, to the nurse, I said, "Is that okay?" And she said, "Heck yeah, give him as much cheesecake as he wants." And so I got him back to bed, and I brought him some cheesecake. Happy birthday, Pop.
Bill sure did raise some good kids. Next up, another cross-country and track and field coach, followed in the footsteps of Bill Porter and his wife, Felicia Hill. So Felicia wrote a song, a tribute song to Bill, and she and Paul are going to play it. So if you guys would like to come up.
Definitely not that tall.
It is on. I didn't write this song intending to play it here today, but word got out, and Kristen called me and asked me if I could play it here. And listening to all of you talk, the song is very reminiscent of all the words that I've heard, and I never spoke to any of you knowing what you were going to say. And I think that just speaks to the genuine nature of Bill Porter, and how he was universally sound with everyone. I don't have the comedic cadence that Coach LeBlanc has here. We have a little technical finesse happening here.
No worries. Bill taught us anything, it was to let go with the flow.
Yes.
Let it happen.
Yes.
Or else we have to be anyway.
No more right here.
The mics seem to be doing funny things.
Yeah.
Paul's a very accomplished musician.
Too many things to set up. One of the last things Bill asked me when I came over and he was in his bedroom and he was having a little bit of a hard time talking, and we had just had our first league meet this year for cross country season, and it is the only league meet we won. So he asked, "Did you guys win?" So I got to tell him one of the last things that we won a league meet. So.
Just like a musician, he only wants his guitar to.
Yeah. He's going to turn you down.
I know. I did have to tell him a few times. Maybe you could just.
By the way, if you like these guys, they play at Heroes Pizza from time to time. Paul's band does, and you played at that winery. Can't remember what it's called right now.
Didn't know you in your wonder years, but your stories made the lines. And as I got to know your ways, you always made the time. You may have had your rights and wrongs along the way, but I know you as a humble man today. Listen to your message that night, and in my eyes a smile remained. I didn't cry or worry much, 'cause your words so clearly came. You may have told one or another in a similar way, but we all know you'd be here with us today. You said, and I hope we can have more conversations like that. Thanks for being you. I'll see you sometime. Well, each new story gave you life. And as we listen to
anyway, I was in the fourth lap, going for the finish, struggling along, and along the side, Bill Porter was running. Come on, Don. Come on, Don. He's coaching me. Come on, Don. You can do it. And I couldn't believe it. And I won the race. First race ever. My coach was running beside me here.
And I hope we can have more conversations like that. Thanks for being you, and I'll see you sometime.
We live in interesting and wonderful times. A lot of confusion around us. Whenever you can, channel Bill's love into the conversations you have. Care for yourself, for your families, for your friends.
And I'm feeling really bad one day, and I go out to the point where all the runners are running, and this
a local hero at the school. His name was Porter. I didn't know his first name because we all had last names. His name was Porter, and he comes by and he gives me a big smile and he says, "Hi, Villasenor." And I was shocked. He knew my name, and he smiled. He didn't call me stupid. And he said, "How are you doing?" And I didn't know what to say. And I say, "You know, thank you for asking, and thank you for your smile." And he said, "Of course." And he said it with such power, and it changed my life.
The sameness in knowing how we all cross each other's lives. All of us with you and you and I. And all of us with you and you and I. You said, "I hope we can have more conversations like that. Thanks for being you, and I'll see you sometime." I didn't know you in your wonder years, but tonight your message hits my ears. I saved it even though you're gone to a place within here. I like to tell one or another along the way how each time with you is cherished here today, and how time with you is cherished here today.
Felicia, this is Bill Porter. What a wonderful party last night. Really nice having the enchilada casserole, and the food I thought was really great. And it was really a nice group of 8 people. Everybody talked to everybody. The women had a chance to talk to each other, and the men also. So it really was a balanced out program in that regard. I particularly enjoyed having a first real chance to just kind of one-on-one with you, so I really appreciated that, and hopefully we can have some more conversations like that. Thanks for coming. Thanks for being you. We'll see you sometime. Bye.
Sail with me into the unknown void that has no end. Swept along the open road that don't